I was there. You got two other people that can corroborate the same stuff that we all saw. This man pulled his anchor without his kid being in the boat and vanished. Gone. Kids screaming bloody murder. In the video, if you backtrack it, you'll be able to see that the second police officer that was walking up the steps looked at the father for like a second. He kind of like side at him and gave him like the "I know you" eye.
Yeah.
And that was because the father and that police officer graduated from law enforcement school together. So they went to school together. They know each other. Some of those stations had went with what the police had put for Facebook posts, not what I said. That almost tried to make it seem like I was lying about what I saw. I don't think a day go by I was thinking about that little kid, and hope that he's okay. And a lot of times, these Department of Human Services won't pull a child out of the home until it's too late.
Remember a couple weeks ago I told y'all about the black hero, David Jones Jr., that went out there and saved a kid that was fighting for his life because his father abandoned him in the middle of the river? I got an interview with David Jones Jr. himself. I just wanted to ask DJ, like how the kid is doing, how his well-being is. I wanted to know his perspective. I wanted to know what happened after the video, the clip that y'all seen, you feel me? And this interview was special, man. He gives some real insight, and a lot of things that he said was telling, you feel me? A lot of things that he said, it fits the narrative that we were all thinking. Is the kid safe? Is there bad parenting involved? Why was the kid left abandoned in the middle of the river? Where was his father at? Make sure y'all hop in the comment section, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's Vinnie Dwayne. We back with another Vinnie Dwayne reaction. How your bones feel, man? Let's get straight to it. All right, David Jones Jr., man. What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing, man? So yeah, I came across your video. I know I was maybe a few weeks late on it, but when I came across it, it struck me in a way where I was like, man, I gotta shed some light on this stuff. And I've been using the term black hero because I have this series on my YouTube channel where I'm shedding light on the positive things that you see, black people do. Because a lot of the news outlets tend to portray us as black people as, criminals, doing a lot of crime and stuff like that. And I understand when people say a hero is a hero, why do you have to attach skin color to it? When I say black hero, I'm not necessarily just talking about skin color. I'm talking more about just black culture in general and how there's different outlooks with any race, So that's kind of why I emphasize black hero when I released a reaction video to it. So I just wanted to get that out the way. But really how I wanted to kick this off was where were you born? Where were you born and raised, man?
Yep, I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, raised in Callahan, Florida. Mom and dad raised me, my two sisters. I'm the middle child. Grew up basically hunting, basically fishing. Played football, basketball, baseball. Came to college here in Minnesota, played baseball and football when I was at junior college. But when I got to the University of Minnesota Duluth, I decided to only focus on football. Graduated, got two beautiful kids. My oldest is my son, Colton. He just turned 6 last August. And my youngest one is Mila. She just turned 3 last August.
Right.
And I work in the behavioral health field. My background is in law enforcement. I got my associates in that. I also have my Associate of Arts. When I went to the University of Minnesota Duluth, I majored in criminology. My minor was environmental science. And that's just been what I've been doing with the 29 years I've had in this life currently.
Dang. So you're 29 years old.
Yep.
29 years old. Man, that's wild, bro. What got you into the outdoors, the hunting and the fishing? Was it your father? Was it your mom? What got you into it?
For me, I'm growing up down south, and it's one of the things that I want to tell you about earlier when you were speaking about, amongst speaking about black culture and stuff like that. Down south, hunting and fishing for black people and people of color, it's a tradition, and for me and my family, that's been something that everybody does it. Somebody always hunts, somebody always fishes, and we all know how to farm, cook, fight, fuss, whatever we need to do to get the job done. That's just basically how the entire family was raised. And I've always loved hunting from a small age. It was just always the funnest thing to do to me, was just to go out in the woods track something down, harvest it, or find something that I can grab, in the woods, or my bow, whether it be a rifle, whether it be a shotgun, and be, proficient in it. And also on the same hand, be able to go out with a fishing pole on any body of water, whether it be fresh or salt or what they call brackish, and actually catch fish. So, that's always been my fascination with it. And I hope it never stops, and I hope I can pass the tradition along to my kids too. So that way, I can continue to influence people of color to go out and hunt and to fish, because my biggest role right now in the outdoor industry, I'm becoming one of the bigger public figures when it comes to hunting and fishing, and this was in the works before the whole, kayak thing that happened last summer. And I've taken a lot of pride in the past couple of years in telling people that I am an African-American hunter. We do have some great African-American roots when it comes to hunting and to fishing that have contributed, across the globe. So I take a lot of pride in that, and I always try to make sure that people know and understand that just because you're a person that has skin color doesn't mean that you can't go out and hunt and fish like the same people that you see on TV that are doing it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like to do.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, bro. That's inspiring, man. That day that you were fishing, was it just like a regular day that you were going out on a regular routine? Like you just,
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things that, like a lot of people said too, that God has been all over. And I used to always
yes,
I used to have that feeling sometimes that I would have younger in life, and I would always ignore, and I would always notice when I would ignore that feeling, I would miss out on my blessings, or I would miss out on things that God had intended for me.
Yeah.
In these past couple of years, I've been not ignoring that feeling, but I feel like when something's been put heavy on me, that's what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So months prior to that, I did this big bulk up, this big weight gain. I went from 155 pounds to 192 pounds in almost 5 months, almost, just about. And for the life of me, every time I would go to the gym, they got this concept to roar. And I would always I felt like I was being pulled and gravitated to the roar, to row and row and row. And I could never understand, why I kept being gravitated towards that roar.
Yeah.
So on that day, I wanted to go out, catch some walleye on the middle of that river.
Yeah.
The river is a place that I've never fished before, but I was going to go out my kayak.
That was your first time on the St. Louis River, where that river is?
Yeah.
Oh,
first time.
Wow.
First time ever going out there.
Damn.
I just remembered, I usually have my over the shoulder view in the back of my kayak, so it has a better perspective. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, I got to the ramp that day. I was like, I'm gonna wear my chest harness. Right. I'm not gonna mess with that. So I get out there, I start, before I start fishing, I can just remember hearing this kid that was loud, screaming, playing and stuff like that. And it was that boy that I ended up eventually saving, and his dad next to a sailboat. And then there was two other families that had small kids. One was sitting on the dock fishing, and the other were sitting about 30, 35 yards away from the dock up against the shoreline there. They were fishing, having a good time and stuff too. Mm-hmm. So I got out there, I'm just fishing. Mm-hmm. And I'm out in the middle of the current. I'm using my minnows, my live bait and stuff like that, because I was trying to catch a walleye, but they're all also, they call sturgeon, and they also have muskies that are inside of the St. Louis River, which are very, very big, large trophy fish. So I just remember just sitting there. I just kept looking up periodically, and I just happened to just feel a thump on my rod. So then I set the hook, but it felt like I was hung. Mm-hmm. But typically when you get hung and you're on a river current, you can still feel the waves coming through the line or whatever. And it's a weird vibration. That's like if you fish and you ever get hung up on a river system or something like that, or something that has current, folks will know what I'm talking about. So I couldn't feel the vibration in the current. So I'm like, I can't be hung up on something like a rock or a log or anything like that. This has to be a fish. So I just ended up I just ended up just reeling down a little bit, tightening the drag, and just giving it a tug. When I gave it a tug, my rod tip just started bending. And I was like, oh, I caught a sturgeon.
You got one.
It's has to be a sturgeon or a muskie. So I'm excited about it. I'm hyped about it. And in this moment, whatever, I call my girlfriend on my Apple Watch, talk with her, and then I just remember catching a glimpse up of the boy and his dad, and the boy's dad was pulling up his anchor. But in the moment, I'm not necessarily thinking of what's going on at that point in time.
Right.
I just see him pulling up the anchor.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting this fish, and it's 8, 9, 10 minutes has went by, whatever. Then all of a sudden, I just hear a scream. I just look up where I thought the boy was at. And then I look to the right, and he's dang near almost 200 yards away from me. And I'm looking, I'm like, I might have to go get that boy, because there was somebody else that was in a boat that it drove past him.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, what up, stranger? Why wouldn't they get him? So then I popped my line. And then this is where that roar that
you let go of that fish that you just had on your line.
Yeah. And then this is where I felt like that roar came into play too, because I had to roar over there as fast as I could. And every day I would get on that Concept 2 roar, and I'd row 500 meters as fast as I could, 500 meters as fast as I could. Everybody that knows me and they follow me on my social media accounts, they know I hate that Concept 2 roar. I don't know why I was drawn to it, but I feel like that was God preparing me for that moment right there, because I didn't know if that boy could have gave up. He could have stopped wanting to fight the current. He could have just quit swimming and just gave up. He could have drowned right then and there on the spot.
Right.
So then I felt like I was panicking, trying to get there to paddle to him as fast as I could, whatever. So I then tried talking to him, and that's when he's telling me all the stuff, about how
where was his father at that point?
He was in his boat, but when he pulled up anchor, apparently he said something had caused him to get blown into the back bay of the river.
Right.
But the section of the river that we was at, it's very vast. So you can see probably maybe almost 200-300 yards across to the other side. Right. But it also has bends and stuff in it. So when we look back, he was nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen at all. Nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen. And the entire time this whole thing is happening, I'm not even paying attention to physically what's happening in the water. So I was being blown by the current to the western section of the river. This kid is getting blown to the eastern section of the river, getting dragged out to the center of the river. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know sometimes, and a lot of people have died and have drowned due to what they call the undercurrents on big bodies of water, in the ocean or river systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, we heard the older man say that.
2 people drowned here in that same spot last year.
Yep, it was a father, and I think it was his 9-year-old daughter. One of the girls, because he jumped in to save 2 of his kids. One of them actually survived, but one of them died, and the father died. And I believe one of the girls that had died was about 9 years old, and that was just a year ago.
The father to those men that helped?
No. This was just the same incident had kind of happened, but differently. Last summer, in the summer of 2021.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's what they were talking about, because I didn't even know that something like that had happened. But
right.
Him telling me that, it kind of made sense too, because it's these river systems aren't fun, and then too, it was maybe barely 50 degrees outside, so I know the water temperatures were probably well into the 30s. So it's he could have had hypothermia easily and went into shock and then died then on the water too.
Exactly.
So,
did you end up getting the kid's name?
Yeah. I got his name. I got his name. I know his father's name.
Yeah. Did you why did it seem like the father didn't there wasn't a sense of urgency with the father? Why did it seem like you were more alert in that situation more than the father?
Pleased to meet you.
Yep.
Sounds like he was a bit nervous. Well, he was screaming.
The father, after I found out, because there's some information that I haven't made known to the general public, so I feel like I still have to keep some of those details private for them, because because we all have to go on after the event.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the case involves a minor child, so some of that information won't be made known to the public by me, and it won't be made known to the by, I guess, the Department of Human Services and the local police department. But the father has a disability that made him react in that way. And do I believe it's an excuse for his actions? No. But it did make everything make sense after the fact. The father just he's an odd character in himself. But I will say this: the father actually graduated from one of the local community colleges with a degree in law enforcement and was on track to become a police officer. So he does have, first responder experience and the knowledge of, safety. So that made it even worse, in my opinion. And in the video, if you backtrack it, you'll be able to see that the second police officer that was walking up the steps looked at the father for like a second. He kind of like sighed at him and gave him like the "I know you" eye.
Yeah.
And that was because the father and that police officer graduated from law enforcement school together. So they went to school together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So they know each other. And
wow.
The thing that it got me a little bit more, because for days, like that thing, it didn't sit right with me. Just replaying some of the stuff the father said back in my head, like just looking at the footage back and forth again, and the kid's demeanor back and forth again, and there's other people chiming in on the internet and stuff about it like that, just like hearing all the stuff that was coming in. And the one thing that, I was happy that I was able to help the kid, and I probably wouldn't have gotten any of it on film had I not been fighting that fish. None of that would have been on film, and some people were trying to take the narratives differently and say this and that and the other. But it's like, I then felt bad because as a parent, some of our parenting decisions, aren't spotlighted out in front of other people or in front of the world, right. And in this case, I feel like his parenting mistake due to me and him was spotlighted out in front of the world. So I don't know the guy personally. I don't know too much information about him. I don't know too much information about the kid. I only know what was of that reaction that I had with him. And much like a lot of people, it didn't sit right with me for a long time. I still think about that kid all the time. I still, I would always tell people I don't think I would have forgave myself had that boy went under in the water while I was en route to go get him. Right. I would have felt bad that if I didn't call the police and then he ended up dying some kind of way due to having hypothermia and not getting medically checked out. And there were so many things that it went into it that it was still kind of hard to process. When I was done doing that incident, it was hard to kind of go fishing again. It was hard to kind of do a lot of that stuff because I had the PTSD, which I didn't realize I had it till I started talking to my girlfriend and started talking to some of the other people, because I realized hearing kids' screams wasn't the same for me anymore. It wasn't like they're just playing. It was like, something happened. Right. And I tried going fishing again a couple more times after that, and it just
kept replaying over and over.
Yeah, it wasn't the same, and everybody was trying to check in on me, and I was trying to I was hoping that people would be able to help check in on this kid, because it's I don't think at 6 years old, any kid would have been able to go through that event and still be okay.
Not to interrupt you, but I remember when I was around 6 or 7 years old, I was in the river, and me and some of my friends were on this log. We were floating, and somehow we got disconnected from the log, and I remember going underwater and I was panicking, I was screaming. One of the adults had to come in and pull us out of the water. He grabbed me just in time, because I just kept going under. But like, I only bring that up because that moment, it hits me like to this day. Like, it's something you don't forget, bro. Like, it's something that you do not forget. So
yeah. And then for me, with like my background, like doing the whole law enforcement thing and working up at one of the main hospitals up here near Duluth, you know, I've been in a lot of like critical situations, a lot of things that I've seen. I've had calls that I've been a part of that haven't been fun, haven't been pleasant, stuff like that. But I had that kid look at me and tell me he's happy he survived. So it's like, to me, at 6 years old, this kid understood that he was going to die on the river. Like he understood that, and he was just like, my son is 6. And he had.
Ain't that crazy how it all ties in similar to that? Because it's almost like you have a 6-year-old son, so you knew exactly how to talk to this kid, like how you were like, oh, what?
Okay, all right, good. How old are you?
I can remember.
You can't remember? Are you that old? Are you like 101? 102?
I'm young, but I grow up fast.
Yeah, you know, kids do grow up fast, because I have a kid.
What are you, 101? You don't remember? It's like you knew how to like speak a 6-year-old's language, and I'm like, damn, it's like he has to like work with kids, or he has. I didn't know you had any kids, but it was like you just knew instantly, and it's almost like that, like a spiritual moment right there. Like, you got a 6-year-old son, and then you just saved a 6-year-old son, and you know exactly how to communicate with him.
Yeah, and just some of my experiences that I've learned too is the easiest thing in these critical moments is to basically to come up with distractions and also be able to think critically and come up with a plan at the same time. For him, like, you know, kids can sometimes be easy to distract. Like I work in the behavioral health field too, so it's like being able to distract people and think critically while I'm also communicating to someone.
Behavioral health field with all ages, from all ages, or just youth?
All ages, all races, you know, anybody that my medical provider has on the property, basically.
Right, absolutely.
We talk to, we work with. And then I come from the melting pot of Florida, so culturally I know a little bit of stuff, and I came and, you know, transplanted myself in the Midwest and been there ever since. So it's like, so I'm an extrovert and I can talk to people. So like, I know that's one of my gifts, is being able to talk to people. And that's what has helped me a lot in life, yet alone, just like what I do for a living and stuff like that. So being able to get this kid to understand, which I knew I had to get him to understand, that we're not too far away from the shore. I had to get him to not think about his dad. I had to get him to not think about if he was cold. I had to get him to not think about if he was going to drown or if he was going to die, because if I let that little kid think anything other than, you know, I'm going to be okay, then it would have been a bad situation to a worse situation, because it was already bad. It would have gotten worse. Right. Even if you could tell, like, that initial few seconds of when I gotten up to him, he was just pulling on the kayak. So he's getting ready to have me and him, you know, both in the water, trying to get back into the kayak and trying to hold on and stuff like that. But he was easy to distract in that situation. So that's why I, you know, did the little thing with like making the joke and telling him, you know, repeatedly, constantly, to get that in his brain that, oh, we're not that far. I just got to hold on for a little longer. When in all reality, it's like, you know, the whole thing was timed from start to finish. From the minute he latched onto the kayak till we got to the shore was like over 4 minutes. And he's spending over 4 minutes in sub 40-degree water temperatures. It's 6 years old. Right. And fighting the current. And he was doing all this prior to me even getting there. Right. You know, so.
How long did it take to get there, like, you think?
For me or to the shore?
Like, to the kid when you first seen him.
I was able to time it. I had it saved on my tabs for when I was doing other stuff, but it was like, I knew I could row over 500 meters within 2 minutes and 30 some seconds. So it took me just over a minute to get there.
Dang. That's wild. How long do you think he was sitting right there isolated from father, from every...
Seven, maybe 8 minutes.
Dang, that's kind of a long time to be, you know.
Well, and then I felt bad too because I don't think it gotten that far had I been paying attention rather than like my head down, like looking at this fish in the water. Right. If I'd have been able to see like, hey, your son, like y'all, like, you know, like what's going on.
Yeah, that's not on you though, man. That's not on you because you even said you seen two other families like go right past them.
Well, the two other families didn't have boats. There was nothing they could do. They were sitting on the bank.
Oh, okay.
But there was one guy and his wife that came and they had launched on their boat and it went right past him. But in my mind then too, I still wasn't thinking about, oh man, this kid's in trouble. I'm still thinking about like the fish or whatever. And then they come by in the boats, just gone, pew, right past him. Like hit the hammer down, gone.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know. It's still hard to process because I had a bunch of questions that I wanted to, you know, ask the father and stuff like that. And
were you able to ask the father any questions, or did he kind of like, because he kind of left like abruptly, like he kind of said, "I'll see you around. Hopefully, I'll see you again." What?
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I would chat longer, but I think I'm needed.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you. And we might be seeing each other again.
What does that mean? What did that mean to you?
You know, the guy had like this court gesture type of demeanor to him, talked very strange. And I like, you know, it didn't take long after talking with him
to realize.
So I was able to detach that emotion from being upset because he just did this to his kid, you know, to realize that like, okay, like there's something, you know, that is with this father, like, and what my place to try to like figure out what it was, because ultimately I just wanted to get the kid safe and make sure that he was safe. And him being there, he talked to me and just like this court gesture type of, well, my name is, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he shook his hands out. I suppose I should thank you for saving my son.
But yeah.
No, I'm very thankful of that.
Me too.
First I say 1,000 and then thank yous.
Yep.
That saved me a bunch of hassle.
Yeah.
Because the river.
And it's like.
Yeah, exactly. And
it was.
And when he seen the other cop, he knew he could. I don't want to say privilege. I feel like that's being overused a lot, but he abused his power, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know what their conversation was like because I didn't want to stand around the guy to kind of hear what their conversation was like, because at this point, you know, I'm somebody who, as a father, I've had to fight for custody, you know, of my children. And often, you know, as a black father or as fathers in general, sometimes like we get the negative, you know, feedback and criticism that we don't care about our kids. We don't take care of our kids. Like our kids are always in danger. And it's like, you know, I would give anything to have like, you know, the time that I want with my son as this guy has with his son, and he's leaving his kid in the middle of the river.
Absolutely.
Didn't care to see if he was okay. Didn't care to yell back to shore to anybody to grab him. I can't get to him. Didn't jump out of his boat to go swim to him. Right. Nothing. Just nothing. And then, you know, to get up there and to instantly point the finger at his kid and say,
sounds like he was a bit nervous.
You know, I heard he got nervous, and it's like, you left a 6-year-old kid in the middle of the St. Louis River with 40-degree temperatures, sub 40-degree temperatures, and 30+ mile-an-hour winds while it's white capping, and you expect him to not get nervous.
Right, exactly.
Then you say that he knows to swim to shore. How can he make it to shore when I'm in a kayak and I'm having trouble? And I got stuff that's like it's there to navigate through the waves, and I can power my way through. Right. And you expect a 6-year-old kid to swim to shore. Right. You know, so I struggled emotionally, like having a conversation with him.
Absolutely.
But you know, it was tough. It's still tough sometimes. And I had questions that I wanted to ask him, but I told myself like I don't think I'd ever be in a place after having that incident and encounter with him to ever sit across from him and not be angry and not be upset.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. I hear that, bro. What do you think about the kid instantly rejecting you calling the police? Like, what do you think that meant? Like, why did he say don't call the police, don't call 911?
Towels on him. His dad left him stranded out in the middle of the river. And follow me, sir. And yeah, he's saying he's feeling cold. I was just somebody that was fishing, but I want to make sure he's fine. Then we're going to call 911.
911?
Yeah, we got to make sure you're doing okay so you don't have hypothermia or something like that sitting there.
Don't do 911.
Why don't you want to call 911? Are you scared?
Because I think that it's been something like instilled in him where he's like, where 911 has a negative. Why do you think he has this whole don't call 911? Does he learn it from his dad? Like, especially at 6 years old, like, don't call 911. It seems like it's a little something going on there.
Yeah, from what I was able to be told from the investigator, from people who locally that know the kid and the father, that they have a lot of 911 contacts, and sometimes some people
they do have a lot of 911 contacts.
Yeah,
jeez.
And the thing is, the 911 contacts aren't because the father is doing things that are harmful to the child. It's just that the guy he's a weird guy, you know. And sometimes when some people would see him doing weird things out in public, or while he has a son, they would feel the need to call, 911 to have a welfare check conducted on him. Mm-hmm. In most cases, police officers show up, they check on the welfare of the kid, they go, they leave, they do nothing. It's the same thing that happened down in the river. We done the call, they done the welfare check on the kid, they had him assessed by EMS, and then they left, and then that was that.
Yeah.
But I can't say that there is more to that or more to the home life, because there probably always is. And I think the kid, from what I've seen too, from my experience in law enforcement and working in the medical field and behavioral health field, sometimes when you have those contacts multiple times like that with law enforcement, you eventually start having that negative impact depending on the officers that you see. Because like I've seen it before, where the same officer who's working the same district is responding back to the same place, maybe once in a week, twice in a week, 3-4 times in a week. And then they're getting upset because why am I always coming back here? Why is it always you? Why is it always, Right. And that could be some of the cases that have happened prior to that event. I don't know. I don't know what happened in those prior calls, regarding them too, or regarding the father.
It seemed like he would be disciplined if 911 was called. That's how it seemed.
Well, the biggest thing is, and like I try to tell people too, from what I've learned and from my experience, because that's all I'll ever speak about. So my primary experience. Sometimes I'll talk about secondary experiences. I only like speaking about what I know and what I've been through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to these contacts, they have to log them. The DHS has a certain requirement that has to happen in order for a child to be pulled from a home. And in a lot of cases, and I hate to say it, but statistically it's true. And I hate to say it, and I hate to even to accept the fact that the statistic is true. A lot of times, these Department of Human Services and Child Services individuals won't pull a child out of the home until it's too late. The damage is already done. They're either dead, they're either seriously injured, they're either damaged beyond repair for the rest of their lives if they do survive those outcomes. And it's sad. You turn on your TV 9 times out of 10, they got series about this stuff on Netflix. There's always tons of articles. Being a father's rights activist and stuff like that, I read stuff all the time of where dad doesn't get custody, mom gets custody, mom meets new boyfriend starts abusing mom and the kid. Father fights for custody. Father calls the DHS. The DHS does their online screening, or they do their in-person screening locally where they ask a couple of questions. And physically, they don't even come and see the child. They'll talk to an individual on the phone. Right. Which makes it even worse, in my opinion. It's like you don't even care enough to go even physically see the child. Right. And case gets dismissed.
Yeah.
then it all of a sudden it goes from that to now you got an obituary and a funeral. And then the state says, well, due to our protocols, we followed this criteria. Kid said this on this question, said that on that question, parents said this, and we didn't feel like it would have been necessary for us to pull a child from a home. And in my opinion, I don't agree with that at all, because, these situations are happening more and more often, and it's sad to wake up almost every day now, and then you can actually see an article where someone's child has passed away because DHS was called and they failed to respond, they failed to act. And
damn,
the biggest gut feeling I had was that, I hope this doesn't happen to this kid. I hope that I'm not reading an article in 3 years or 4 years about something like this that has happened to this kid, because you have all the history that's documented, but it didn't meet your criteria to pull a child from a home, or to even get a child a personal care, assistant or something like that. So that way you can check in with that child weekly to make sure that, needs are being met. They're being taken care of. They're being brought up in a new,
bro, why did this shit just cut off? Why do you got all these animals?
Huh? What animals? The fuck are you talking about? What animals? Just go to participants.
How do we get him back on?
Email him.
You back on?
oh yeah, let me join.
Oh wow. Sorry.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It said the session had ended.
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right, you were saying, you said it was pretty much too late. I mean, they help out when it's too late, pretty much.
Yeah. There's so much research out there, man, and it's one of those things that once you open your mind to it and you see the statistics and you see the numbers, it makes you have no faith in the Department of Human Services in some cases, And it's sad, and me personally, it's seeing some of the kids, how I see some of the kids where it's they just need a little bit more, love at home sometimes. Sometimes, I've seen great parents and kids just want to be, assholes to everybody and just want to be completely rebellious. And it's hopefully they grow out of it. But it's when you see some of these kids that are being hurt and being abused and stuff like that are in and out of the systems, and they have stuff that's happening at home that you can tell the child's being abused by somebody, even if it's not their mother, their father, and, nothing's being done about it. So a lot of people have that faith of calling the DHS in hopes that, that they're going to help out. And they just basically do a screening. They run it through the county. If it's serious enough, they may have somebody go talk to the child. And a lot of cases, the interview age or proper interviewing age is over 6 years old.
Right.
So a lot of these DHS companies and stuff like that, or state entities and county entities and stuff like that, they won't even interview a child because they're not the proper interviewing age. So they'd only go talk to the parent that's there at the house. That's it. And if you're the parent at the house that's doing the abuse or trying to cover it up, lie, say whatever you want to say, and they're not going to talk to the child. They're not going to go, see or assess the child. And that's how it goes.
Do you feel like that's what needed to happen? That's what needs to happen with this kid in the river? I know you don't have to answer it. I was just kind of curious because I know you said that.
It's I don't know, it's tough to say because the incident that I saw was on the water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they are when they're at the house. I don't know how they are when they're out, doing things around town or behind closed doors. The only incident I know to go off of is off of the water. And based off of the water, I feel like, there should have been a little bit more of a thorough investigation. That much I will say, because I was upset with the police department because the father, and this is what they put out there on Facebook. It's funny. You can probably look this up too. So, for starters, I had to contact the police in order to even get them the footage of the entire incident. So I had to track them down.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and find the two witnesses that also could corroborate not only what I said, but what they saw was the same as what I saw, which would have directly made some of the things the father said untrue.
Right.
So this is me being a civilian. I mean, I have my experience in law enforcement and stuff like that, and this is what I had to do for these people to even start an investigation, because they didn't even do one. They literally took the father's words at the scene. That was it, the end of it. But due to the video catching so much popularity online and being seen, globally and worldwide, their phones are ringing off the hooks from what I was told. And then, they released a statement on Facebook about it. The father stated and told them the kid was hanging onto a rope while he was swimming, lost hold of the rope, and the father couldn't navigate back to the child. And a nearby, I forgot what they called me. I think they called me like a nearby kayaker was able to rescue the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then got the kid to shore due to the kid saying he was cold, his face looking blue, and having concerns of hypothermia. It was like, to me, that was the biggest crock of shit I ever heard in my entire life. First of all, I'm not a kayaker. I'm not out here I'm not one of those leisurely types of people.
Right.
Like, if I got my kayak out there, I'm trying to catch a fish, I mean business. I'm not out there to let me just, take a stroll down the river today.
Right.
No.
Right.
I'm out there to catch some fish. So a kayak fisherman could have been a better term they could have used.
Yeah.
And both myself and the two other witnesses that were sitting on the shore were able to both see and confirm. So I got the DMs and the screenshots and stuff too, because sometimes when it comes to proving what's true, you have to go back and do your research, right?
Yeah.
So doing what I do, like I was telling you before, becoming more of a public figure, I had to, out of both couples that were there on the dock, I had one of those couples, say, hey, aren't you that guy that does, your hunts and stuff on YouTube?
Yeah.
And you fish. I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's so awesome. Like, I saw your stuff on YouTube. Are you on Instagram? Yeah. So I gave him my IG information for him to go follow me.
Mm-hmm.
So that same day, him and his wife had followed me on Instagram.
Yep.
And it took me almost 3-4 days going back into all those, because I had posted a video and people had instantly started catching fire. People started following me. So I'm trying to go all the way back to try to figure out, what it was username and stuff like that was. And I was able to do that. And I had the same conversation with him. I was like, that boy was not holding on to no rope on the river.
Mm-hmm.
His father was looking at this kid. Like, he was looking at this kid as he's pulling up his anchor. So he knew his son wasn't in the boat off rip.
Right.
He knew that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was no, he was holding on to a rope. And I had talked, when I was talking to the investigator, I was like, I was born at night, I wasn't born last night.
Right.
Like, you mean to tell me in that river, current is going however many miles an hour.
Right.
Whitecaps is out there. 40 degree, sub 40 degree water temperatures, sub 50 degree air temperature. You mean to tell me this 6-year-old kid is holding onto a rope and swimming at the same time?
Doesn't make sense.
How?
Right.
How can you hold on to a rope and try to kick and swim at the same time?
Doesn't make sense, man.
And then to top it off, they try to cover it up and try to say that the rope that the kid was holding on to was the anchor that had kept the father tethered.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I was there. You got two other people that can corroborate the same stuff that we all saw. This man pulled his anchor without his kid being in the boat and vanished. Gone. Kids screaming bloody murder.
Why did he do that? Why?
Dad, he is screaming all this stuff. Like, if I can hear a 6-year-old kid screaming across the river, You don't think I've been able to hear a grown man screaming across the river?
Exactly.
Anything, right?
Exactly.
Nothing. Like nothing. And he wouldn't even been there to show up to the scene, because if I didn't show up to the house where they had people there who actually had a boat, because that's how the father got back to shore. Not like he fixed his sailboat and got back to shore. They had, like that original couple that I went to, one of those old men hopped in his lawn boat, ran out there, got old boy, hooked his sailboat up to him, drug him in the shore. Because he still wouldn't have been there.
Now, if that wouldn't have happened, then what would the outcome
The
of
father would have been there.
If
He
you
would've been there.
look, if you wasn't right there in that moment, and those people didn't have the boat to come save him, then what would have been the outcome in that, man?
That man would have been looking for his son at the bottom of the river, and he wouldn't have had a clue as to what happened.
How deep is that river?
It's over 30 feet. Easy. Over 30 feet. And the life vest the kid had on was way too small for his size and for his weight. And just the whole situation was just, it was just wrong. And I like to try to tell myself that somebody else would have saved the kid if I wasn't there. But the only two boats on the river, the one sailboat was somewhere off, vanished with the father, and was me. That was it. And you could look around that whole stretch of the river, nothing. And he wasn't nothing but maybe close to another 50 to 60 yards, and he would have been out into like the big section of the river where there's no houses. There's nothing, like just water, trees, and that would have been it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
That would have been it.
So when you first walked up to him and talked to him, did he say, "I want to give you 1,000 thank yous"? What did he say?
Yeah.
1,000 thank yous?
I'm very thankful of that.
Me too.
First I say 1,000 and then thank yous.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, thank you, and thank you.
Did he say 1,000? Like, man, like I was thinking, like, man, like it could be 1,050 thank yous, bro. Like, do you understand what just happened? Why stop at 1,000?
The first flag that he hit me with, he told me.
The first red flag, you're saying?
Yeah, he told me was.
Yep. That saved me a bunch of hassle.
Yeah.
Because
You saved me a big hassle.
What? What? Yo, a lot of people hopped in the comments and mentioned that part right there. Like, did he really just say that?
Yeah, and then I wanted to cut him off, but I just let him keep talking and everything.
You did a great job at letting him talk, bro, because I heard it in everything that you said.
Yep.
that saved me a bunch of hassle.
Yeah.
Because the river takes him a little bit, and I said,
Yeah.
calm down, slowly swim to shore.
Yep.
You got this. We've been in this before.
Yep.
And I tried to get him with the boat, and of course the wind's picking up.
Yep.
So it just poof right across the river.
Yep.
So I had to try and walk it back. That is super slow.
Yep.
Like each one of your responses when you were responding to him, I heard it. Like I heard it in your voice. Like you were just holding back on some like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, because it was just like it took everything in me to not put hands on, but at the same time it's like I don't know this guy. I don't know, where he's at mentally. I don't know how he's coping with that situation. I don't know how much, trauma he might have, been facing, where I pulled up my anchor, and this is what I thought, I was thinking was he pulled up trying to, I guess some people were trying to say that he was trying to toughen up his kid by making him swim to shore and stuff like that. And, I could only imagine how he would have felt had he actually been doing that, and his son would have died right there on the river. Because he's trying to toughen him up, teaching him to tell him shore. That's
not how you toughen up a kid. Not with natural, you know what I'm saying? What is it called? Like Mother Nature. Like, yeah. Not with that type of stuff. That's not how you toughen up a kid, because now you're just gambling with your kid. That's not toughening up.
Well, and then the other thing, too, when he said,
yeah, calm down, slowly swim to shore.
Yep.
You got this. We've been in this before.
Yep.
we've been here before. He knows to calm down and swim the shore. So they let me know, like, this ain't the first goddamn time you done did some shit like this.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It was like, and I'm trying to let him speak, but also not be upset, because I know I got a camera. I know those police officers got cameras and stuff like that, so I couldn't have a conversation with him how I want to have a conversation with him, you know, off camera. But it was like, everything that he said was just like bizarre.
Bizarre.
From start to finish, everything was bizarre. Like him greeting me the way he greeted me, the thank you stuff, and him telling me about the
can't make this up, man.
Him telling me about he knows to swim the shore, saved him a big hassle, and thank you. I would stay in chat, but I think I'm needed elsewhere.
Yep. So thank you very much.
Yep.
I would chat longer, but I think I'm needed.
Yep.
Once again, thank you. And we might be seeing each other again.
But we might be seeing each other again soon. It's like the whole.
What did that mean, man?
I think he was implicating that, you know, there could be some future court hearings or something like that later, or I might be. I don't know. I don't know. Like the whole thing was bizarre from start to finish. Like him and his stuff. The police officer that he went to school with, so they know each other.
Do you know his name? I mean, do you know the father's name?
Yeah, I know both their names.
Have you said the father's name at all?
No, and the reason why, like, I haven't said any of their names is too because it's like, you know, I understand that, you know, they still have a life to live after the fact, just like I do. You know, I was just a guy who caught everything on camera and was able to help this kid in a sense. And then I thought about it too. It's like, you know, as parents, some of our worst parenting decisions are sometimes public, sometimes they're private. And for him, that happened to actually just be public because I was there wearing something and uploaded it, you know, to the internet and stuff like that. Because the main thing I wanted people to be aware of was just water safety and paying attention. It wasn't as more about the father's action, but it's like, you know, you can be the person in a kayak the same way I was if you've watched something happen or something happen by you, you know, so you could be able to sit there and to help them.
Yeah.
I don't know. That whole thing was just still to this day, like it's still bizarre. And I don't think a day go by I won't think about that little kid, you know, and hope that he's okay. And my biggest hope is that I don't see any RIP or obituaries or anything like that about the kid in the paper.
Yeah.
Was something that related to him being at home with his father, because if they've had all these contacts with 911 and he hasn't been pulled, or they don't have any PCAs or anybody from the county who's helping him, you know,
exactly.
What's the next step?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Did a lot of your family see the video? Like, did a lot of your family reach out to you, family, friends?
Yeah, it's been big. It's been good, and I've gotten like a thank yous, and I've gotten stuff from people from all over, and you know, I never really, you know, wanted to get anything out of doing what I did.
Yeah, I noticed that. I seen it instantly, like. And that's why, like, when I made the first video, I put your GoFundMe up there, and I told him, like, he didn't even want nothing from this. He doesn't even want to be called a hero. He said the kid was a hero. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I did it is because, like, who wouldn't need, like, some, you know what I'm saying, some support with, like, what they love to do, like, you know what I'm saying? And like, I think that's pretty cool, and that's why I did it, and I'm gonna do it again, you know.
Yeah, it was good, and you know how I was raised was, you know, I was always told, like, when somebody's trying to give you something, son, like, you know, just accept it and tell people thank you, you know, because it's a blessing to be able to receive stuff from people, because it's not going to happen all the time. So
yeah,
as I've gotten older, I've learned to do that when people wanted to send me stuff, you know, even aside away from this, you know. I've had people send me their hats or their shirts and stuff that they want me to wear in my videos and products and stuff like that, because, you know, they got a little business going. They want me to kind of show some support, stuff like that. I've always did those types of things because, you know, I remember when I was at that point, you know, before the social media started, you know, booming, you know, and doing stuff like that. And as far as like the GoFundMe, I've had people say that he shouldn't have done this or accepted anything for a GoFundMe, and I didn't even create the GoFundMe.
I said that. I mentioned that.
I didn't even ask for a GoFundMe. Like, there was a guy who had reached out to me, like, within, I say, 1 or 2 days of the incident happening, and he shared it on his TikTok. And his TikTok of that rescue hit went for, like, you know...
Proceeds are going to you, though. Proceeds...
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Thank God. Because I know... yeah.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 million views. And he's like, man... People have been asking me how can they send you something. Like, they've been asking if you got a product line or what can they do to do some support, man. He's like, can I set up a GoFundMe account for you? And you set up the business stuff and everything like that. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, man, like, people want to give you something, man. Like, here, let's just, we have to do something so people can help you out. And, you know, we did that, and then I was happy that I was able to receive some of that stuff because I've been able to kind of help out with buying stuff to go hunting and to go fishing with, and
you have a 6-year-old son of your own.
yeah, I got 2 kids and a family and stuff like that too. So that was really good. But at the end of the day, I still did what I did without getting thank you, without putting it on social media, without anything else, because that was the right thing to do, and I would like to think that. And if it were my kid out there in the river, I would want whoever to try to save him too. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I came across the video, and I've been just doing a bunch of reaction videos, and like, I know a lot of people knew about this, but a lot of people obviously didn't know about this, or didn't like make its way through YouTube like it should have. I think that's why
it's oh man, like I've been getting tagged on people and stuff on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know how many local news station interviews and stuff like that where they put clips up for millions of views and stuff like that. I've even had some people put my video up on Facebook and then try to say I copyrighted them for rights in my content. Like, I'm infringing upon their copyrights for the content I got. I'm like how? Like how does this work? Like, you took my video, posted it on your Facebook page, and now Facebook is telling me that I do not own the rights or sounds to the video that I created.
That's wild.
It's been all over. You know, I've had people put it on Reddit. I've had people tag me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Like, I've seen newspaper articles. I've had people, like, you know, request me for podcasts and stuff like that. And it's been big, just depending on, you know, when you've seen it or how you've seen it. Because a lot of people, it really caught fire mostly going from July through maybe August. But, like, it's been slowing down. I've had, you know, some of the bigger people have messaged me on Instagram, on TikTok and stuff like that. Have been telling me thank you and stuff, and I've always tried to respond back to people because I feel like, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves was, you know, when I would reach out to people, I would never hear back from them. I would never respond or react to any of the stuff they were saying. Absolutely. Because I always try to make a point to comment back, you know. And I try to tell people sometimes if I don't comment back, there's either 1 or 2 things happen. Spending time with my family, I'm hunting, I'm fishing, I'm sleeping, I'm at work. So it's like, I'm gonna always respond back to you, unless you messaging me on some stupid shit or something like that. I'm just like, not even gonna do anything. I'm just going, whatever. It's like when I get the people that want to comment all the racist stuff or something like that, or some off the wall shit. I ain't even worth it, bro. I'm not gonna waste my day to responding back to you, whoever it is you come with and stuff like that. So I always try to make sure I respond back to people because I always feel like that's. When you do what we do on social media, it's like, you know, you're at where you're at on social media sometimes because of the people that are responding to your videos, that are commenting to you, that are sending you stuff. So, like, you gotta give love, you gotta show love. So
absolutely. I definitely hear that. Like, I was super stoked that you responded to me, man. Definitely. Yeah. This is Myumi. She's a fan too.
I'm such a fan. I'm so like, it's so honorable what you did. That's so cool. So yeah, that's really cool. But I was wondering, it's so cool that you're like a hero, and people. I know there's a lot of controversy like in the comments. I don't know if you guys talked about this yet, but how do you feel about being a hero, and more specifically, a black hero?
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I did anything heroic, you know. Like I feel like I did anything anybody else would have done. And then I'm a numbers guy. Like to me, like that was always my whole thing. It's just like identifying patterns and numbers. It's like I'm black. Like that's factual. I am black, and some people do consider me a hero. So it's okay if people call me a black hero because that's what I am. It's like when people, you know, want to say that I'm a hunter. I'm like, yes, I am a hunter, but I'm also black, so that makes me a black hunter. You know, so it's like
I like the sound of a black hunter.
Yeah, so it's like I don't see any issue with it because like in life, like we categorize things with numbers, shapes, sizes, color. Like I'm black. Like I'm gonna contribute to all the statistics that black people go through because I'm black. Like that's what I'm categorized in. So it's like I don't see any issue with it, but other people do. So you know, that's on them.
Well, that's really cool, man. Well, hats off to you. Thanks so much for being a hero and
Thank you.
doing what you did because that's really, really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Did a bunch of news channels reach out to you like right after it all happened? Like I seen you on like one news channel or one news show, but what was that experience like?
It was crazy because it was like when the news stations heard about it or whatever, they all started like hitting me up on IG because that's where the video I had put it on. I haven't put it on any other sites other than IG, right? Started messaging me like, "Are you the guy in this video? If so, I'd like to talk to you. Would you please respond back to this email so we can try to get this running for the 7, 8 o'clock?" It's like, well, damn, fuck me. You don't care nothing about me, nothing about the kid. You just want to get it running by 7 o'clock. And honestly, it's like, that was my initial reaction to the first couple like news stations. That's all they cared about was, oh, we got to get this out by this time. We got to get this out by that time. It's like, you don't care about the welfare of the child. You don't care about me, how I was traumatized with PTSD and stuff like that. Nothing. All y'all care about is getting us out for your 7 o'clock segment or your 9 o'clock segment.
Yeah.
But it had gotten so busy to the point where I'm at work doing interviews on the clock. Try not to get in trouble because I got all these people interviewing me.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, because a couple of the stations were local. So I was able to go meet them before work or either after work outside in the parking lot. So some of the stuff you see on YouTube, you'll see me like in my Nike cutoff t-shirt and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
And my hat and the shades on. Because this is all at work in the parking lot. Then you got somewhere I was inside and I had to take my uniform and my work employee ID badge off so I could do a couple of them. So it was like, I was doing interviews on Zoom. I was doing them via email. I was doing them on phone. But I probably did over maybe 13, 14 interviews for news stations across Minnesota and across Wisconsin. And a lot of them already had that stuff that's posted up. But what I didn't like was some of those stations had went with what the police had put for Facebook posts.
Damn.
Not what I said.
Damn.
So it almost tried to make it seem like, you know, I was lying about what I saw. But then, you know, I understood that they want to have the feel-good story at the end of it. So instead of the story of, you know, father, you know, abandoned his child, ? It was father, you know, son, you know, drifts away from father while in a sailboat and kayak hero rescues kid. It's like, okay.
So is this your first time being able to like say the whole story because you've only been doing news like segments? Or I mean, there's personal information pieces that I probably won't ever put out there just due to the fact of
of the father and of the son, because in case
Now you're gonna put it. Yeah, you're gonna put it out there in your book when you write your book.
Nah, I still probably won't, because at the end of the day, they could try to turn around, try to sue me and say I ruined or affected their lives by putting out his personal information and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That aspect I get, and especially for the child too, that aspect I get too, because I don't know what it's been like for them since then
right, because he still has to go to school and stuff, like kids probably. Like, I think that people connect to it so much because it's like, have you ever seen The Walking Dead?
Have I seen The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
I just got done crying over the finale. I've been watching that since day one.
It's almost like you have this Rick type of energy. You know what I'm saying? If I'm ever in a situation, I want to be with an outdoorsman. You feel me? That know how to fish, build a fire from scratch. You know what I'm saying? Like, know how to think fast, like the way you thought in those moments. Those are like some Rick moments, bro.
Yeah, it was definitely surreal. I knew there was a couple things I had to do. I had to get the kid calm. I had to get him to shore, and I had to distract him. It's like I knew I couldn't let him think that he was going to die or he's going to drown, because then, like I said before, we'd have both been in the water, man. Like we'd have both been, out for the count, and somebody would have been coming and try to save both of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in a lot of high pressure situations, just being in the law enforcement realm, and then working at that hospital and stuff like that. Like that experience has been nothing compared to some of the experience that I've had, but that experience was very high because it's the first time I've experienced a critical situation on the water. First ever. Outside of that, I've had tons that I can go off of and talk about, but that was my first ever critical experience on the water, was that instance there. And I was just happy that I was in shape enough to get to him in time. Happy that I decided to go fish that day. Because I wasn't going to go because the weather was so crappy outside. So, you know what? I'm going to go anyways. Just that feeling I need to go. It's the same thing when I would be in the gym. I get done working out, and we got the Concept 2 roar, which is inside the cardio room. You got to walk past before you go out there and see it. And I'm like, damn, I really got to go hit it. I got to go do it. And I would sit my ass down that roar.
Right.
And roll them 500 meters within 3 minutes. And it's not knowing why, just having that feeling. And then that whole thing happened, and it all made sense. Why I was able to do it, how I was able to get to him, and
spiritual.
Using all my skills to help the kid,
So you're saying if you was an average guy that doesn't go to the gym, that doesn't work out, that don't hop on a rower, and he was in that situation and he wasn't in shape, you don't think he could have made it and then made it back to shore with the kid? Dang, that's wild.
A lot of people don't understand the dynamics on the water. Kayaks are human propelled. You got your paddles, you got your oars, you got whatever you use for rowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a river system, it's different. One, you're fighting current and the undercurrent.
Right.
Then you add 25, 30 mile an hour winds into that aspect. You got all these elements that are against you to just go. Not including, against the current, against the wind. And then you got this kid who's adding extra weight, who is leaning on one side of the kayak. Because I didn't even tell anybody this, but I had to shift my body weight, my kayak, to the left side to offset him holding on to the right side of my kayak.
Were there also boats going by too?
There was one boat that it came by and went right past the kid. Right past him.
So you have to steer clear of those too. So that's another thing.
Yeah, it was there was a lot of dynamics that were going on that should have been a recipe for failure. When I think about all the stuff that happened, the amount of time that he was in the water, him being able to fight the current for that long, being as young as he was, it's that's why I said I feel like the kid's a hero, because I don't think many 6-year-old kids would have fought the current as long as he did, or swam as hard as he did to not get swept out even further.
Right.
He got swept out like he did when he was fighting the current. So I can only imagine how far he would have been had he not fought it, or there was a kid that wasn't fighting it. So it was tough. And then a lot of people too, I try to tell them, like, just look at the way he was bouncing and bobbing up and down in the water. Just look at the white caps of those waves come in. It's like people focus on me and him, but it's like when I look at it, I always look at like the other factors of everything else too that was involved.
Yeah.
Like the wind, the weather, all of it.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Dang. David Jones Jr., man. Man, got a beautiful soul. I'm just speechless, bro. The last question I would actually that I wanted to know, and I think a lot of viewers want to know, is if you had have caught that sturgeon and you had took it home, and you know what I'm saying, and cooked it, what would you have made with the sturgeon? Like what do you like to cook when you make sturgeon?
Well, that's the funny part too, because a lot of people that know me and follow me know this about me, but I know you kind of do. You
don't eat fish?
Huh?
You don't? I eat them. Oh, okay. I was about to say, bro. That would have been like, I was about to say.
No, I'm a catch and release guy, so I only really target fish that I'm going to catch and release.
Dang. So that makes you even more of a hero.
Then, like, if I would have caught a sturgeon, I would have tried my best to getting a picture with them. But sturgeon are prehistoric, so they've been around as long as, like, you know, what we call the alligators and the crocodiles. Like, they're that long. They've been on the planet for that long. So a lot of those fish, I don't think I've ever seen anybody eat them. I think most of the people I see that catch them release them. And sometimes if some people keep them, I think they mount them. Or, I mean, I could be wrong.
Okay.
There's a lot of different stuff whenever they catch fish. But if I would have caught that sturgeon, I probably would have tried to do my best to get a picture with him.
Yeah, that's it. Dang.
Got him back in the water. That would have been it.
Dang, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing. What fish do you eat? What do you like to like, and how do you eat it? Like, what do you fillet it?
Well, I'm from the South, so my favorite fish to eat is catfish. A lot of people disagree with me that I should probably have better taste in fish than that, but to me, that's one of the best ones. I love
catfish.
I like my catfish. I like my freshwater tilapia. I'm not a big fan of salmon or trout or anything like that because I don't like the texture. But I will sometimes eat what they call crappie, or if you live down south, they call them specks. I'll eat some of those, but most of the fish I like to eat fried. But when it comes to my tilapia, I'll eat it baked.
Dang, hell yeah, that's on fire. What about when you go hunting for deer? I mean, or for buck? Like I seen an 8-point. Did you have an 8-point buck? Your most recent?
Yeah, that was.
I don't know the terminology, so was it an 8-point?
Oh, good.
Was it an 8?
Yeah, he was a 10-pointer from North Dakota.
Dang.
I got in September, and I gave him away. Like I got too much meat. The lady told me I need to start giving deer away. So
dang,
I gave away about my last four deer. I gave away. So
that's wild, bro. When are you gonna start taking your son hunting out in the wilderness, or have you already started?
Yeah, I've already taken him. I've already started taking my daughter, but they're still kind of young.
How old is your daughter?
She's 3.
Oh, your daughter's already been out there?
Yeah. No, I don't waste no time. I mean, you can't waste any time because it's like you got to capture your kids' imagination about stuff when they're young. Because when they get older, the longer you wait, sometimes the less passionate they'll be about it, the less interested they'll be. And I was in diapers, and I got pictures of my parents, like when my dad specifically was bringing me out to the woods and stuff like that. And, my daughter, I started bringing her out there when she was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Son was around the same age, but I think my daughter likes it more than my son, which is like I wanted it to be the opposite way. I was okay with my daughter didn't like it, but now it's like she's liking it more than him. So I'm like,
that's fire though. I like that, bro. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. He'll probably gradually grow into it, you know.
I hope so.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, I don't even want to wrap this up, bro. I want to be a homie, man. I want to come out you're not too far away, man. I want to come hunting with you, man. We got to make some content together, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That'd be dope.
Y'all got some good stuff down over there, so I mean, it can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Have you been to Chicago, like Illinois, anywhere? But yeah. What I wanted to do to end it though, I wanted to like read off some of like the positive comments that people left for me on my channel. But since I'm new to this Zoom, I I'm gonna do it off camera. So I'm gonna do it like I'm still gonna do it, but it's just gonna be, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and tell me a little bit more details of the story. Your story is cool as hell, man. You're a cool dude. I'm gonna make sure people follow you. I'm gonna make sure people tap in with your social media, hit up your GoFundMe, because I know you don't want that, but you know what I mean. I think that's important. Yeah. But yeah, man. Yeah.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, both.
Yeah. Dang it. Make sure y'all hop in the comment section, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's Vinnie Dwayne. We back with another Vinnie Dwayne reaction. How your bones feel, man? Let's get straight to it.